All right, so if it were me in your shoes for a note card, I would write as small as possible. Since I'm writing small, let me blow this up, especially for people that are sitting in the back of the room. Okay, so vertical angles and like those are vertical angles, and then I'm gonna you can use one line and two lines, it doesn't really matter. Okay, vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so like you can do this, you can do two lines here and two lines here. Vertical angles are congruent, they are equal. Linear pair. Pair means two, doesn't mean three, doesn't mean one. Any two lines that are on any two angles that are side by side that make a straight line, they add up to 180. Add to 180 degrees. Okay, you could even have a linear pair that looks like this. Okay, and it doesn't matter what picture you're looking at, any two angles that are side by side that make a straight line are going to add to 180. Okay, you might want to write down the word adjacent. It means next to. It means side by side. Some of you forget that word. Okay. Supplementary. Any two angles, any two that add to 180. They don't have to be side by side. They don't have to be a linear pair. They're just any of them. And then complementary. They're going to add to 90 degrees. And again, they don't have to be side by side. They're two angles that add up to 180. They're supplementary. Two angles that add up to 90 are complementary. A lot of times you guys only see them when they're side by side. Okay? So just be aware that they can be away from each other. All right, let's move on to the vocab in regards to parallel lines. Okay, so let's draw this and then that line there. And that diagonal line that I drew, it could go straight up and down, it could go the other direction, like it doesn't have to be just that way. And also you could have a picture that looks like that, where it looks like an H. Okay, so let's number some things. How about we do this? I'm going to put X right there, and then I'm going to go right here and right here and right here. The reason why I'm doing that is because they are all the same number. Okay, and then on this side I'm going to go ahead and put Y degrees, because those are all the same number. In this type of picture, for parallel lines, there's only two numbers and that's it. Okay? Then maybe I do corresponding angles. I'm just grabbing a color. Corresponding, they are congruent. Okay? That means they're the same measure. And that's not the only pair of corresponding angles. They're in the same position. Okay? But that's one pair. Then, if I did alternate interior, let's say I chose this Y here and this Y over there. Okay, so alternate interior angles, those are congruent. The next one, I'm going to, and I can't say it enough, by the way, I know it's hard for you to see with the lighting, but I have these two right here. These, the Y's that are on the outside, I used yellow. It's not showing up very well. Yeah, a little bit. Those are alternate exterior. Those are also congruent. I cannot say it enough. I'm just giving you one example. I'm not giving you every possible scenario because I can't do that on a note card, okay? Consecutive interior. That would be those two. Okay. Those two angles right there. Consecutive interior. They're going to add to 180 degrees. One is an obtuse, one is an acute. And then I'm going to do consecutive exterior. So let me choose, I'm going to choose this X down here and that Y up there. Consecutive exterior. Those are going to add to 180. So corresponding and alternate interior exterior are all congruent, not to each other, but those are the congruent ones. And then if you see the word consecutive, $180. Okay, by the way, the vertical angles and linear pairs are all throughout this entire diagram. But I'm not going to write them down here. It's a little too much. I don't want to get it any more mucky than it already is. Okay? I would say the theorem / postulate, which is what these come from, okay, is when you go from, when you're given parallel lines, maybe that's a better word. So you are given parallel lines They are going to create your angle pairs. In other words, they're going to create the corresponding, the alternate interior, exterior, the consecutive interior, exterior, the vertical, the linear pair, all the things. That's when you would say, like, angle 3 is congruent to angle 7 because, and you would give a reason, okay? The word converse, do you guys remember that word? Converse of. That word cannot be left off, and it must be used if you are given angle pairs and you are going to prove that the lines are parallel. In other words, we're just going backwards. Okay. I would say that there's really not a lot of room to write them, but on page 8, if you wanted to spend some time good old-fashioned memorizing some of that language, it's not bad, but I don't have a note card big enough for that. Okay. That might be something I might consider putting up on the board or something. I'll have to think about it. Okay, so the last part of the unit, we spent using all that info, but we started talking about perpendicular bisectors and parallel perpendicular line equations. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. If you are someone where, like, oh, you're going too fast, you can take a picture before you leave today. Okay. You need to leave plenty of room for parallel perpendicular lines. So over here, we're going to draw a vertical line. And then I want a horizontal line. We're going to put endpoints on it. We're going to pick a dot up in the air. And then we're just going to connect that side and this side to make our little triangle. And then we're going to label it A. M is the one in the middle. B and C. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put the little lines for when they're congruent pieces. Okay? So A to M and M to B are congruent. Okay? Yes? Okay. And then A to C, C to B. Those are congruent. Okay. By the way, those are perpendicular lines, which means all 4 of these angles right here that meet here in the middle, all 4 of them are 90 degrees. Every single one right here in the middle. Okay? I'm just not going to draw 4 boxes. I mean, I guess you could. You could put a little quad of boxes there. Gets a little overwhelming. Okay, when that line is a perpendicular bisector, then M and C, any point on that vertical line, is the same distance from the endpoints of that horizontal line. Okay, and vice versa. So let's write this down. AM is congruent to MB. AM plus MB equals AB. Guys, the half, okay, this is halfway, right? So if I have the half and I double it, then I can get AB. You can say 2 times AM equals AB. You could even say 2 times MB is equal to AB. Okay, so 3 different ways to deal with that horizontal line. And then AC is congruent to CB. You might have to use Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So up here, I want you to write this down. Leg equals square root. Actually make it a little longer. Hypotenuse squared minus leg squared. And then if you want the hypotenuse, it's leg squared plus leg squared. Some of you are still only using this one that I'm pointing at right here. You're only using that one. That only works when you're finding that long diagonal side. Okay? If you're finding like this side right here or this side right there, if you're finding one of the legs, you have to use that one. And be careful with your numbers. Use your calculator. Okay, the last little bit, okay, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite. That means one is positive, one is negative. Opposite reciprocal slope. I guess those are plural. Okay, this opposite reciprocal, if you know one of them and you need the other one, remember, change the sign and flip. Okay. And m equals 0 and m equals undefined are perpendicular. Those are opposite reciprocals. Okay, y equals mx plus b. This is slope-intercept. And you are only going to put a number where the M is and a number where the B is. M is your slope, B is your y-intercept. Okay, your slope is that. Your y-intercept is that. And be careful of your signs. Okay, this one is called point slope. Okay, you still have a slope. And then the x1 and the y1 is the point. Numbers go in these three places only. And then there's 3 steps to writing and using. So the point slope equation, it will give you slope intercept. So step 1, get or calculate slope. You might have to calculate the slope. On your test, I don't think I'm having you calculate slope though. No. Okay, slope is already calculated. You won't have to calculate slope. You'll just have to know which number it is. Step 2, use point slope. And step 3, you have to rewrite in this one, y equals mx plus b. So you're going to use your point slope, which is this one, and then you're going to rewrite it so that it looks like the second one. If there's anything else that I think of that I think is extremely urgent that you would need to be able to recall for the test, then I might make a supplement and I would just put it up on the board. However, this should get you through most of it, if not all of it. I'm going to move on. You can take a picture before you leave. Okay, if you need to take a picture of my note card before you leave so you can make sure you got everything down, that will be fine. We'll do that in a little bit. Okay, let's really quickly start looking at these that you selected, and then after that I can work more of them. Okay, so I'm going to start with number 14, sorry. 14. Okay, it says find x. All right, that's all I have to do. So I have to make an equation. The very first thing that you have to be able to identify is what angle relationship is happening here. So I have 2 angles that are side by side. Look right here. They're side by side and they make a straight line. They're going to what? What does it say? Add to 180. What are they called? They're called a linear pair. So over here I'm going to write linear pair. Please do not write the word supplementary. Yes, they are supplementary, but they are very specific. Okay, so now I need to turn these into an equation. I'm going to kind of I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to be a little more efficient. I'm going to put a big plus sign right here, and then an equal sign right here, and then I'm going to put 180. That plus all of that is equal to 180. Now, you guys know I like color. I have some X's. Those are in green. And then I'm going to put the non-X's, the constants, I'll put those in pink. I have to add the green ones together. Please don't subtract the 2 from the 3. What is 3 plus 2? Okay, so this is 5x. And then what's 30 plus 20? 50. I'm just combining them. Some of you still like to do subtraction or addition, like you like to do it all on the same side. Please do not do that. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 50 because 50 doesn't have an x and 180 doesn't have an x, and I need them on the same side. So I'm going to move the 50. Subtract 50 here, subtract 50 here. Okay, I'm left with 5x. I'm going to move over here because I write too big. 5x equals, and then 180 minus 50. 130. And then what are you going to do with the 5? Fantastic. And so x is equal to what? 26. Everybody check it. Make sure. Okay. Five times 20 is 100, and 5 times 6 is 30. That makes 130. I agree. Okay, how was that? Okay, I know we're not going to work it necessarily, but I'm curious, what kind of angles are those? All right. These are vertical. What do you know about vertical angles? They're congruent, which means they are equal in measure, right? Okay, so these equal each other. You can put a big equal sign right there. You can go write the equation and solve it in a little bit. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to number 25 and 26. Okay, I have my little note card here. I've got two angles. They are in the same position and they are on the same side of the transversal. Oh, that's what we need to add to our note card. That line right there is the transversal. Woo! I'm glad I remember that. Okay? So, what kind of angles are those? Corresponding. We write corresponding over here. What do we know about corresponding? They're congruent. It's on our note card. So we got to make an equation. 12x plus 3 equals 11x plus 9. Okay, it doesn't happen a lot, but I am seeing a few students here and there throughout the day, and they move everything to one side, and then they just kind of flip-flop back and forth where they write things once they do some combining. Please don't do that. It's a test. Make sure you follow all of the rules of equality. Okay, I have a 12 here and I have an 11 here. 12 is bigger. So let's move 11. I'm going to subtract it from itself. Do not subtract it from 9. And I'm going to subtract it from 12 over here. I also still see some students trying to combine an x and a non-x. You can't do that. Okay? All right, so 12 take away 11 is 1x. If you don't need the 1, don't write it. And then I have plus 3, and then my equal sign, and then a 9. Okay? Now I'm going to move the 3. Don't move the 9. I'm going to move the 3. So we moved the x's first. That went that way. Now I've got a 3 and a 9, and the 3 has to go that way. It's kind of like volleyball or tennis. Each side gets to volley, okay? So I'm going to subtract 3. So I end up with x is equal to what? 6. Now if you want to be extra, which you should, you can go plug that x in over here and make sure that both of these angles come out to the same answer. You could. I'm not going to do that for time. Okay, any questions about that? Everybody okay with that one? Pretty straightforward. All right, take a look at these. What kind? All right. If you're going to say consecutive and alternate, you have to pair it with the word interior or exterior. But they are consecutive, and they are consecutive interior. You cannot leave interior off. What do we know about those? They're going to add to 180. Okay, I'm going to show you something, and I think I've done it a little bit here and there, but I'm going to help you work on this visually. It'll make it a little easier. Okay? So, these are x's, right? Would you agree? And then I've got a 67 and a 127. Do you agree? I know. Everybody giggle. It's okay. So these two x's right here, how many? 2. I'm going to write down 2 x's. And then I have 67 and 127. You need to add that up in your calculator. What is it? 194. And then that all has to equal 180. So basically what I did is I kind of thought like elementary school, you know, where you're just adding vertically in elementary school. Do y'all remember that? It's a long time ago. And I just like, well, these are alike, I'll add them. These are alike, I'll add those. And then look how friendly that equation looks. It looks really friendly, doesn't it? So then 194 here and 180 there. Yeah? What do you do with 194? Okay. So 2x, bring down that equal sign straight down. What do you get? You get a negative 14. Now, before anybody kind of freaks out a little bit, what kind of answer are you going to end up with? A positive or a negative answer? Distance cannot be negative, but a variable in and of itself can be negative. Because if these two angles have to add to 180, at 194, they're already too big, right? So your x would have to be negative. So what do you get? Negative 7. I know that's a little wonky compared to what, because we've been talking about distance a lot. Distance can't be negative. That's not distance. Okay? Let's go on to 27. Before I answer any questions like this, whether it's on this page or this page right here, I'm going to make my little checkerboard. so that I know that everything in green is the same measure, everything in orange is the same measure. I'm going to go over here and do it again. I'm going to make my little checkerboard before I do anything. Okay? So everything that's green is the same number and everything that's orange is the same number. Okay. Are we starting with angles or lines? Okay, so you see the word converse? All right. Okay, now, do you see these vocabulary word statements right here? Do you see those? That's what's going to go in the blank. These right here. Okay. I'm going to write in pencil so I can erase. Measure of angle 1 is 140. Measure of angle 5 is 140. Oh, they're both orange. Thank goodness they're the same number. What kind of angles are those? Okay, corresponding angles. So by the converse of corresponding angles, lines L and M are parallel. Tell you what, I'm just going to do all three of these. How about angle 3 and angle 5? Oh, angle 5 changed. I'm going to get rid of my 140s. I don't want them to confuse me. So angle 3 is 124 and angle 5 is 56. I know one looks obtuse and I know the numbers don't match the sizing. Okay, just I know that. What do you know about these two angles right here? They're consecutive interior. They have to do what? Do they add to 180? Do they add to 180? You guys all have calculators? I'm waiting. Yeah, they do. Okay. So these add to 180. So these are what kind? These are consecutive interior angles. Okay? And then we can do the last one. 2 and 7. 2 and 7, it says they're both 58 degrees. What kind of angles are those? Are they, oh, they're both green. They're both congruent, right? Alternate exterior. Thank you. Okay? And just so you know, on the previous page, this one, okay, you're working it kind of the same way. And you're using that diagram up there. Just so you know, okay? All right, let's look at this one. So remember, we said that that segment and that segment were congruent. This one and this one are congruent. Do you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4? Do you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4? Those are angle numbers, not degrees. Those are not segments. Those go to the angle number 1, angle number 2, and so on. Okay? I'm actually even going to do 33. This one stumps so many people. I want you to look right here. It says find measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 4. I want you to look right here. What do you think those two angles add up to? Why? You're not wrong, but why?
Because is that the line is the bisector?
Yes, it's a perpendicular bisector. And if that is perpendicular and 90 degrees, guess what this side is? That side is also 90 degrees. Okay? All right, so now let's do the last one. This is the one that students make mistakes on, so I want to make sure I do this one. Do you see where it says write an equation and solve it? Show work. Okay. So, up here, I'm going to bring down one of the triangles that has the 3 letters I need. So I'm going to redraw this because that way you can see what I'm doing. And it's cleaner than putting stuff up top. It says that AB is 6. Okay. It says that BP is 4. Okay. And it says find AP. So it says find this one. All right. Well, that's Pythagorean theorem. So am I looking for a leg or a hypotenuse? I'm looking for the hypotenuse. Right? So AP, that's your hypotenuse, is the square root of legs squared plus legs squared. A lot of you would do so much better if you wrote the formula down first and then plugged it in. Okay, so then equals square root symbol. I'm going to have 6 squared plus 4 squared. And then do you see this? Bless you. You see all of this that I just circled in red? I'm going to go type that into a calculator. Like I'm literally going to type it. Square root symbol, 6 squared plus 4 squared. Oh, that's very bright. You can't see it. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, and I get a radical answer and I get a decimal answer. So here's what I want. I want the radical answer. Yeah? And then you can make your little wavy equal signs like the calculator is giving you, and then you can give me a decimal to 1 decimal place. Okay? I encourage you to draw the triangle so that you know which side of the triangle I'm asking you for. Okay, got a couple more here. Oh, 36. I don't have to do any work with 4 and 6. Y equals mx plus b. So m is my fraction. Parallel slopes are the same. M is equal to m. I just have to write that number down. 8 over a 3, and it is negative. Sorry. All I have to do is write it down. Okay, now the perpendicular slope. I have to change the sign and flip. Just change it and flip it. So it was a negative, now it's a positive. I'm going to purposefully write a positive sign. I don't need it, but I'm going to purposefully write it. And then I'm going to take my 8 over 3 and I'm going to flip it over so that it says 3 over 8. And that is all you have to do. You have to do something similar to that for number 35. Okay, 37. It says find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So we want it to look like this at the end. So I'm going to come over here. Y equals something x. So I need a something here and I need something there. Okay. It is parallel. Ooh, that means same slope. You see that 4 right there? That's the slope of that line. So this parallel line is also going to have a slope of 4. This is going to be x1 and y1. So I did step 1. I have the slope. Step 2, I'm going to use point slope. That's this formula right here. Y take away 7, that's my y1, equals 4, that's my m. I'm just using the formula. And then x, take away a -3. Well, what happens when you take away -3? Okay, so I'm going to change this to a plus sign. All right, now I distribute, and I'm going to have to move the 7. 4 times x, 4 times 3. Y minus 7 equals 4x plus 12. And now I need to move the 7. Add 7 here and add 7 here. So I'm going to get a 4x, right? And then a 19, right? 4x plus 19. So that's what goes here on my answer blank. Y equals 4x plus 19. Okay, our last one. Are you ready? Find the equation line that is perpendicular. Ooh. All right, I'm going to write m equals. This is my slope of my original line. Perpendicular slope, I have to change it and flip it. So instead of negative, it's going to be a positive, and instead of 3 over 4, it's going to be 4 over 3. So you change it and you flip it. And then this that we just did up here, we're going to do the same thing. This is my x1 and this is my y1. Y take away -2 equals the positive 4/3 that I got, parentheses x minus 6. Okay, if I'm going to subtract a -2, that means I'm really going to be adding. I'm going to distribute. In your calculator, you are going to type 4 divided by 3, and you're going to arrow over, and then you're going to do times -6. Okay? So this is y plus 2 equals 4/3 x minus what? 8. Okay, then what are we going to do with the 2? What are we going to do with this 2? Subtract it. Okay, so my final answer is y equals, and I have 4/3 x, and then I'm going to have minus 10, and -8 and a -2 make -10 when you add them together.